Hey guys, how you doing? Coach Ivan here. If you're watching this video, you are part of the Back to the Basics 6 weeks program. This is the video that's going to guide you through your tracking sheet and how that all works. This is going to be the meat and bones of your entire program. This is where we practice your self-monitoring and keeping track of your stats while we focus on the 3 pillars of physical health. Before we jump into it, it is important to know that you will need a Gmail account or Google account, because you will be having access shared to your particular tracking sheet. Okay, so you will get a notification that I've shared a folder with you. It's going to have your own appropriate folder. You're going to have a folder for your progress photos, so you can keep track of your progress photos. You just upload them to that folder, and you're going to have your own tracking sheet as well. With this tracking sheet, nobody else can see it but me and you. So it's private to you unless you want to share your stats, which you'll have an opportunity to volunteer and share how you've been tracking your stats week to week. But without further ado, let's jump into it, because this is going to be the good stuff. Okay, so this is the basic back to basics template. Okay, and again, you'll each have your own copy of this. The first sheet is going to be basically the introduction. It's the overview that we are covering the 3 pillars that are going to be required for this program. Again, the most important thing is that this is going back to the basics. I'm trying to simplify this as much as possible for you, for your success. And so if this branches on to other programs that tag on to this program later on, at least you have these fundamentals down before you proceed, okay? So our focus is going to be the 3 pillars, which is hydration, sleep quality, and your energy and nutrition. And I've also included some of the recommended values there as well. For hydration, we're looking at about 2.5 to 3 liters of water per week, okay? For sleep, we're looking at 6 to 9 hours. For energy and nutrition, we're gonna be focusing on your recommended maintenance calories, and I'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to that sheet, okay? The optional stats that you can track are gonna be your movement. You have your moderate cardio, which is gonna be the recommended 150 minutes per week. And strength training, which we're not going to be tracking any of your strength training on here, but I am recommending resistance training 4 to 5 times per week, or 8 to 12 sets per muscle group. That's going to really help stimulate muscle growth and hypertrophy and lean muscle mass on your body. Okay, that also helps increase your metabolism as well. Okay, so down below, if you look at the sheets, you're going to see there are 3 that are in green, and these are your pillars. You have your hydration sheet, your sleep quality sheet, and your fuel and nutrition sheet. The 2 that are in yellow are the ones that are optional. You have your movement, and then you also have your weight recording. And then the last one is the big picture, which kind of takes some of the other stats from basically collects all the stats that you put in and puts them together in a week-by-week basis, so you can try to look at them and make some comparisons and see if there's any patterns that stand out, okay? All right, so let's take a look at the hydration sheet. So starting with hydration, the recommendation is, as I said, 2.5 to 3 liters. You can actually modify this on your sheet, so you can set that to 2 and 0.5, and it'll adjust the calculations below that. I'm gonna stick with 3 because I like to overshoot a little bit. And there you can see it breaks it down. So if you buy like the Kirkland water bottles from Costco, or basically any half-liter bottles of water, it tells you how many of those you need to drink, or how many ounces of water you need to drink, how many 64-ounce bottles you would have to fill, how many 32-ounce bottles you'd have to refill, and then if you're just drinking 8-ounce cups, how many 8-ounce cups you'd need to drink to hit that liter amount, okay? So first task is basically going to be to record your water consumption below in ounces. A weekly average is tracked for each week. Okay, and so it shows you your unit is going to be in ounces. Now, looking at this, so the cool thing is as you go day by day, you're going to basically want to track your information here. And let me set these days properly. We're going to go Monday, because we're starting on Monday, all the way into the following Sunday. So for me, for example, I use a 32-ounce bottle, and as I drink them, I can come in here, or at the end of the day, just come through and say, okay, I drank 32 ounces, or I drank 64 ounces, or I drank 96 ounces, however many. As you can see, the more water you drink, the darker the blue it becomes in that cell. And you're basically just going to fill these out for the entire week, every single day. At the end, you kind of have an average. It gives you an average of how you drank, throughout the week. Okay, so that's basically how easy the hydration sheet works. Okay, so just make sure you have another way of keeping track of your water. You can use an app like MyFitnessPal or Fitbit or a piece of paper. Or one of the shortcuts I did is I just went ahead and put like a piece of paper on my water jug with a label, like a clear piece of tape over it, and I just use a whiteboard marker to jot down how many of those I drank. And at the end of the day, I basically come in here and track everything. Okay, now let's go to sleep quality. So sleep quality, basic recommendation is 6 to 9 hours of quality sleep. And we'll talk about more quality sleep related information as we go through the program, as far as like what's it mean to have quality sleep, how to set up your environment for quality sleep. So I want you guys to really focus on getting quality sleep, meaning you're not waking up all the time, you're not sleeping with the TV on, constant distractions, because that does affect your quality of sleep, even though you think you went to bed and got 8 hours, okay? So the task is going to be to track down the number of hours you slept per day. There's going to be weekly averages that are calculated automatically there at the end of the sheet. And then it's optional to include your sleep score. So if you have a device like I do, I have a Google Pixel Watch, or if you have a Fitbit that tracks sleeping, or an Apple Watch, you can include that score as well. It's an optional metric to track. But the one that we are going to be focusing is the actual time that you slept. If you don't have a tracker, it's as easy as just remembering what time you went to bed, and then just also making a note of what time you woke up, and then basically calculating those hours that you slept. Okay. So for example here, like let's say I slept 6 hours, or if I put it to 8 hours, you'll see the better sleep that you get, the darker the green that it's going to be. And let's say also for the scores, sometimes it might say that you slept for 6 hours, but your score is a 54, meaning you woke up a lot. It'll show you in red that that's not necessarily a good score. Or maybe you slept really good and you got an 88, and you can see that that's marked in green, showing that that's a good score. Okay. Again, remember, the score is not required. That's just an additional metric that you can track. The one that's important is the time. Okay. And you basically will track those throughout the week. And then at the end, you'll be seeing an average show up. And there you go. You see that there's an average of about 6.5 hours of sleep. And you're trying to shoot for trying to get more green days than yellow and red days. Very straightforward. All right. Awesome. So you'll basically be doing that week to week. I'll be checking in every week just to make sure that everybody's filling out their stuff. I will not necessarily be on top of you about filling it out. I am going to leave that on you. And on Sundays, when we have our conference calls together, that's when you have an opportunity to volunteer to show your numbers, or just kind of show how you track everything. And I'd love to just kind of have people share and do that. All right. From sleep quality, we're moving over to fuel and nutrition. This is probably going to be the more involved one. And again, I'll be guiding you through this, so no worries. So on the nutrition, there's 2 recommended paths that we can take. I think I want to have everybody start with the first path. So the first path is you have 2 calorie options to choose from and set as a baseline. First path is going to be the recommended daily values. And typically you can find these like CDC. Most of my certifications recommended this, but it depends on whether you're female or male. And for females, you want to set it to 2,000, and for males, 2,500. Okay. And we're going to start with that baseline. And what you're trying to do is just trying to hit as close to those maintenance calories as you can. Option 2 is going to be to calculate your maintenance calories from the TDEE. And I will actually be making a video on how to do that. It's very straightforward. And that's to more fine-tune your maintenance calories based off of your activity. What's important about this in the program is we're not going to be focusing on calorie deficits. We're not going to be focusing on calorie surpluses. We're going to be shooting for maintenance calories. The objective is to really just kind of get an understanding of self-monitoring what you're eating and how it translates in terms of calories. So the task is going to be use your recommended values. Make sure I can spell values right. You want to type in your daily calorie goal for the week under your maintenance target column and calories row. Okay, so if me being a male, if I go over here, I'm going to select 2,500 for week 1. I type in 2,500. It's going to populate that. Now, any values that I put in here are going to be compared to that goal. All right. Task 2, it says track the total number of calories consumed and fill out the table below. So there's going to be a 20% variance here determining on what the color is shaded for the cell. So for example, let's make this easy. Let's say we do 2,000 calories. If I shoot way too low and I go 1,600 calories one day, that's within 20%. So that's going to turn yellow. If I go any lower than that, it's going to be red. If I get really close to the 2,000, let's say 1975, that's going to be green because that's within 10%. So that's kind of how it's going to gauge. If you're within 10% above or below the maintenance target, it'll be green. If you're within 20% above or below the maintenance target, it'll be yellow. And if you're way outside of 80% above or below, or 20% above or below, it's going to be red. And again, we're shooting for more green days than red and yellow days. Optional, you can also put in your protein intake as well. I'm not really going to be worried about that. You don't have any protein requirements, but protein is a good priority to help keep muscles on your body. So when in doubt, try to focus on eating your protein, but we're not going to be getting too specific on that in this particular program. So maintenance calories are really important, but you can track protein if you want to, and it will take an average at the end of the week. Now for task number 3, if you do decide to calculate through the TDEE, you want to reset your TDEE goal every week if your weight has changed. And I think I'm going to explain that at around week 3. I wanted you guys to get week 1 and week 2 down based off of the set maintenance calories. And then on week 3, we're going to talk about TDEE, how to make your calculations, and then how to make your adjustments based off of your weight on that. Okay. Next, we're going to move on to movement. So movement, this is going to be optional. Remember, we're not really focusing on that here in this program. Our program focus is going to be the top 3, hydration, nutrition, and your sleep. But I do have movement here as an option as well in case you did want to put how many minutes you worked out per day and get a total per week, because there is a recommendation of about at least 150 minutes of moderate cardio activity per week. If you break that down in 6 out of 7 days, that's 25 minutes of working out for 6 days out of the week, and that'll cover the 150 minutes. You can work out more or less depending on what works for you, but that's kind of a good threshold to follow so you don't feel like you're overtraining yourself. Again, we want to make this simple, very sustainable, very manageable. If you try to take on too many things in addition to this program, you are going to increase your chances of not adhering properly. Okay. So your task is to track the total number of minutes working out during the week. And then your optional measurement here is going to be your calories burned. Now, I did recently see an article that talked about how inaccurate devices are for calorie burns. I really would not go off of that very much. You can include that here. I don't really worry about it. I'm not going to be looking at it. So that's really going to be just for you. But I really would not take too much stock into the calorie burn that your devices calculate, because your devices can really be way off. Okay. What I really want to see is that you are moving every day, or at least you're moving 150 minutes per week. Okay. So just to kind of show you, if you don't do anything at all, I want you to put a 0 in there. That means it's going to be red. If you do anything at all, even if you work out 1 minute, that's considered a green for me. You'll see as you kind of start adding more and more time throughout the week and you get closer to the 150 minutes per week, it gets really dark green over here for your total. You can also get a calorie burn average here as well if you wanted to see that. Okay, so we want to go ahead and track your minutes of working out every day for the week. Another optional entry is going to be your weight. All right. Again, we're not going to be focusing on any kind of specifics related to weight here. We're not going to be focusing on weight loss. We're not going to be focusing on staying at a certain weight. We're not going to be focusing on weight increasing. Shouldn't be our focus here. Again, it's all about the 3 pillars. I put this here just in case you want to kind of see any connections or patterns based off of what you do with the pillars and how it affects your weight. I will make a video that shows how I've been tracking my stuff and explaining the patterns that I look for based off of what I see, how my weight is affected by how I sleep, how I eat, and also how I hydrate, okay? But if you do want to keep track of this stuff, it's good to go ahead and throw your weight in here. I use my Renpho weight scale. That's very helpful for me, and it automatically syncs up to my phone with Bluetooth. So let's say I put in my weight here. No color changes or anything here because we're not really focusing this on this as a metric. But yeah, so you can see that as you add it through week by week, it's going to take an average. And let's see, and then after weight, if you go to big picture, so here it's going to carry over the entries week to week over here. So as you start to add things like, for example, let's go to hydration here. Let's say we do 96 across the board here. We go back to big picture. That's translated over for week 1. Let's say sleep quality, we'll do 7s. Let's say across the board. You'll see that translates over as well. Fuel and nutrition, let's go 2000 across the board. And then movement, let's say we do 50 minutes per day across the board, all the way. And then our weight, we'll go ahead and finish up here. And then we look at the big picture. Okay, so you can see this is what I'll basically be looking for at the end on our big picture is I'll be looking at each person's week and just kind of taking a look. And if there's anything that stands out to me, I'll probably contact you and say, hey, let's go ahead and have a quick little talk. And I would basically want you to kind of walk this through me, walk me through this and just say, let me know how, if you see any kind of patterns or anything that stands out to you that just seems like, oh, okay, this is the day that I didn't get any sleep and then I ate too much. Again, you'll see another video that I have following up that shows how I explain what I've seen as I've been going through this so far. And I think that'll kind of help you understand what I'm looking for, okay? So you don't need to change anything here. I don't think the sheet will let you change it, but we're gonna be going through this week by week and that's basically it, okay? So we're just gonna be filling out this information here. I'm going to be doing this again on Sunday, this coming Sunday on the, what is it, the 28th? I'm going to set up a live Zoom. I'll send out the invite to each of you, and this is for everybody that's joining the program, and you guys can jump on and ask me any questions, get some clarity, and just make sure you're ready to hit the ground running before we start the program, okay? So this video explained the tracking sheet. I'll have some other video resources to share with you. Stay tuned. And remember to follow me on my Instagram gym coaching page. And probably best is the Facebook gym coaching page. I'll be posting a lot of stuff there, updates related to the challenge, or not the challenge, the program. And that's a great way to kind of just, you know, keep a pulse of what's going on in the program as well. Okay. All right, guys, I appreciate your time and I'm excited for this program. I think you guys are going to do great. I've seen some great results with it so far and I'm excited to share that with you. All right. I'll see you soon. Bye.